And when you hear all of that, and there are stories like those just about every day, how do you keep from thinking that you're unsafe just about everywhere you go?
Psychologist Robert Scott can help us with that. He's a consultant on violence in the workplace. Dr. Scott, these attacks seem so impossible to predict that it makes us feel very helpless. How should we feel?
Well, I think you're absolutely right. Helplessness is a very common reaction, and you shouldn't question helplessness. I think a lot of us are feeling that sense of helplessness and insecurity. And we've got to begin to talk about our feelings, our reactions to these events with others. We need to discuss it with our families and our children because they hear it too, they feel it. And I think there's a variety of different reactions people are feeling, from a range from anywhere from denial, which people feel they don't want to even deal with it, to feeling anxious and hopeless and in despair. So there's just a variety of different reactions we're feeling. And the point is we've got to start talking about those reactions, not keeping them to ourselves, and then begin to develop a plan to turn things around. There's too much emphasis on violence in our culture. We're hooked on it, and I think we need to explore a more proactive ways to deal with conflict, and that's the problem. We glorify violence, we spend too much time on it.
But Dr. Scott, wouldn't you say that denial is the healthiest way to deal with this? Because the fact of the matter is we cannot be afraid every time we set foot outside of our homes. But with as many incidents as we've had, this is a real spate of this stuff. It makes it kind of tough. This isn't isolated. This has been a horrible week.
No, you're right, Tawny. Denial is a very common coping mechanism, and I think we need to recognize that a certain amount of denial is okay, but also we can't bury our heads in the sand. We've got to start looking at what's wrong with our society, trying to get at the roots of violence and starting to change things. If we don't, I think we're going to continue to see more of this happening.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Dr. Scott.
The floods of '93 are devastating a wide area of the Midwest.